Hey, man, I'm absolutely amazing. How are you, Doc? Well, listen, I'm excited as well. I want to say good afternoon to Atner. How are you, sir? Man, I'm doing absolutely fine, and we're delighted to have you on the air with us. I'm going to get the attorney to call in a few minutes, but I'm talking with Mr. Agner, and let's talk about two things. One, we're going to talk about Martin Luther King celebration. We're going to talk about FAMU victory, FSU victory, and I'm going to get the attorney to give us a call a little later on the broadcast. But certainly, we're excited about all of what's taking place with football here in the city of Tallahassee. Certainly, we're excited about the Seminoles and the Rattlers. And certainly, what a great celebration bowl, FAMU coming out on top. And Florida State, I mean, your alma mater, I mean, you couldn't be no proud. I mean, I'm sure you're proud as well.
Absolutely, tremendously proud of the awesome work that our football team, the awesome season. I was with you, made it to the national championship. Certainly proud of our Seminoles and the wonderful athletic program we have at Florida State.
I mean, and I know there's not a whole lot we could do about what has taken place with the decision of the committee, but what were your thoughts on that?
I, along with many other Seminoles, didn't understand the committee's decision. I think in hindsight, I think the committee needs to, streamline their criteria for the selection of the final team to get into the championship playoffs. However, that doesn't take away from the tremendous athletes who go out every day on the field and represent Florida State University. They are champions, and my book champions all the way. We had an awesome season, and the leadership that our football players showed throughout that program really demonstrated. George Travis did an awesome job as our quarterback, and it's just very saddening to see that we didn't get a chance to get to the national championship despite a perfect season to showcase. Florida State University, but we are still champions here, and I do think that they are deserving of a celebration as our ACC champions. Hopefully, like I said, there's more productive conversation that can come out of the committee's decision.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. And it is saddened that we are having to deal with the fact that one player became the shoulders on which the committee decided that Florida State would not be in the top four. But however, I mean, a lot of lessons to be learned from it. But overall, we celebrate Florida State University and we celebrate FAMU. I mean, what an amazing year for FAMU this year.
This was an amazing experience to have national champions at Florida A&M University, and I think that they have taken the swag, by storm. And again, it reminds us that FAMU will strike with the dark cloud. So,
absolutely.
Anybody else wants some folks from FAMU?
Hey man, and you know what, that word is coming now. I don't think nobody else want no smoke. But with all of that being said, man, I know you have been actively engaged in Martin Luther King celebrations throughout. I mean, it's the holiday time. It's a season of joy. But I wanted to, before I end my show this week and this year, I wanted to because we roll into the new year. We're rolling into the new year with a whole different platform here on the Greg James Community Show. But I wanted to get your thoughts about the significance of the impact that Martin Luther King Day has right here in Tallahassee, and the fact that we are in the process of hearing about celebration on that day. I mean, you are a voice in the community, a voice for justice, an advocate. I mean, you are you were once leading the NAACP in its role as the president. What are your thoughts on what we're hearing from the city and the county when it comes to their planning this kind of an event?
I think you're getting a big reaction, but what you're also getting is also a overwhelming conversation. There are two perspectives. One perspective is number one, and I had to think about it and give some deference to it. While Florida State, my alma mater, deserves to be celebrated, FAMU won its national championship. And someone said, have you ever seen a national championship team celebrated in conjunction with anybody else? And to me, I was like, you know what? I don't think that I have. And so, in an issue of fairness, I understand and I support the FAMU alums that are asking for a separate recognition for their national championship status. And I'm glad to see that our Tallahassee leadership has contacted the coach's wife, and they have agreed to allow them to have that moment. And I think FAMU deserves that moment, and it doesn't need to be shared with anyone. That doesn't take away from Florida State University athletic program and the tremendous job that they've done for the city this year, and I believe that they deserve recognition as well. But we do need to make sure that we give fans their moment, because they certainly deserve it. When it comes down to the date selection, I disagree with doing it on Dr. King's holiday. We have heard from numerous members of our community that it's the significance of the day that we have to be careful with watering it down. We look at our history, which is being erased in schools. It's now making people uncomfortable. And I don't call it Black history because, Reverend James, it's American history.
Absolutely, absolutely.
There are parts of our history that make this country proud, and there are parts of our history that we're not proud of. But that does not mean that we have to take away from it. And in a season where our history is being watered down, I find it perplexing that our city and our government leadership, as well as our university leadership, would stand by. And as I told the county commissioner on yesterday, when you sit down, whether it is that you're sending your funding, whether you're not saying anything, you're just as complicit as the actors that are putting this forward. Everybody has a responsibility and a role to speak up when something isn't right. And it may not be popular, but if you rest on your morals and rest in doing what's right, and you listen to your community, you end up making the best decision. And again, it's not to overshadow and diminish the accomplishment of both Florida State University, both Florida A&M University, but it is also to help us remember that we must preserve the sanctity of Dr. King's holiday, because it represents the sacrifices that he made in civil rights. I know I engaged with another attorney on my team yesterday, and he tried to paint the picture of I disagree this would increase the dying attendance at MLK, and I said, you've proven my point with that statement. My statement is that if we need football to increase people's attendance to honor Dr. King, they're not really here for Dr. King, they're here for football.
Absolutely.
And so we've got to get the increase of the awareness of Dr. King's sacrifice that even made it possible
for football.
Absolutely. Many of us will be able to attend school.
Absolutely.
For the sacrifice of Dr. King.
Absolutely. And I think that, you know, I totally agree with you 100%. And I'm grateful that you were able to take some time to come on with me today, because I know that your page has really created great conversation. And one of the things that I say about good conversation is that we don't have to agree. But if even in our disagreement, let us be able to respect each other's opinion and let us be able to learn from it. And I think that the years that the years that we've been celebrating Dr. King has been something that we should have just as much excitement behind FAMU and Florida State becoming champions in our city. I think that kind of excitement should be in our community when it comes to this holiday.
Well, absolutely. And Reverend James, I would like to be first to say, FAMU football team worked too hard. Florida State University football team, God knows, fought too hard for their recognition to just be bundled in with a significant holiday. They shouldn't have to share the spotlight. Our city and our county should get together and give each of those schools the celebration that they deserve. Because I could not remember the last time where we had national championships and ACC champions on the same, both schools in the same year, same season. I cannot remember a time when that has happened. And so this is an opportunity for our leadership to come together. But what members of the community are saying is not that we don't want to celebrate these individuals. We're saying choose a better day than Dr. King's holiday. We can do this together. We can come to our community. But this is an opportunity, once again, for leadership, for the city to hear its constituents and to say, hey, maybe another day will make this an excellent opportunity. If it wasn't for Dr. King's sacrifices, this day would be another work day for someone.
Absolutely.
And I posed the question, Reverend James, to someone else. I said, I took the example of our soccer team that just won their national championship. So FSU's over another amazing season there. But I said, imagine if we put that championship on Juneteenth, a holiday where the state refuses to acknowledge it and has forced state employees to go to work. I said, if we put that soccer championship celebration on Juneteenth, I asked some of the same people who are advocating for
the celebration
on the King holiday, and I asked would they be offended, and they said absolutely. And so I said, so I see it no differently than doing this on Dr. King's holiday. I want to recognize the schools. We want them. They deserve a full day of celebration, but we should do this on a different day, not during the same period of Dr. King. We should keep the historical context of Dr. King's holiday and talk about the serious issues like gun violence in our community. The city was given a proposal and a recommendation where the organizations that were doing things over the weekend agreed to move on Monday to clear the weekend before, that Saturday of MLK, so that the city could actually plan the parade and it wouldn't be a major inconvenience. But if we were told that that ship has already sailed. So
wow.
It's up to our leadership, and we're challenging them to listen to your constituents. They're overwhelmingly telling you no once again. But make the right choice and do the right thing. And the simple thing to do is to simply respect Dr. King's holiday and move this parade and celebration to a better day.
Right.
And as I would say, listen even more to the FAMU alums and make sure that they get the individual recognition, because too often, if we look back on our history, FAMU is overshadowed by Florida State University. And while we want to foster the community of unity, to stand and act like we don't know that that exists sometimes, it's there. So I respect, as an alum of Florida State University, the FAMU alums who are saying we deserve our moment. And I completely stand with the alums, and I respect that request from them. And I hope that the city and university leadership makes the best decision in light of what most of the members of the community are saying.
Wow. Well, listen, man, I really appreciate you for having this conversation. And, one of the things that I think we've got to do more of, we got to start hearing more of the voices of our community. We got to start understanding that they have a major voice in some of the things that are taking place in our community. And if we're going to begin 2024, bringing about unity and bringing about the fact that people matter over politics, then I want to make sure that we're listening to them. Certainly shots out and thumbs up to FAMU and Florida State, but certainly MLK Day is a day that has been always recognized as an isolated event, isolated holiday, whereby we celebrate the life and the legacy and the work of Dr. King. Once again, Abner, thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned. Coming up next, I'm going to be talking to the president of the NAACP, none other than attorney Mataki Akbar. Hey, all of this is happening just before Christmas. Want to get all of this out of the way so that as we prepare to move into 2024, we can move as the March of 100 in one beat. Keep it locked right here. That's right, 95.3 FM. Hallelujah. Coming up next, I'll be talking to attorney Mataki Akbar. Go ahead on tag and share. Let's get everybody in. Tag and share. Live music, vibrant atmosphere, and a countdown you won't forget. Don't miss out on this once-in-a-lifetime celebration. When life gets wild, get wilder. Soar higher. Roar louder. Get your feet wet. Because wild times call for wild adventures. Explore 170 acres of rides and slides. Discovered over 100 exotic. Go ahead on and tag and share. Those of you who are tuned in, listen, we are just talking about something that's hot in the news, and hey, it's happening right here on 95.3 FM. Martin Luther King Day, isolated holiday. Should it be celebrated with family in Florida State? That's the question of the day. I'm getting ready to talk to attorney Mataki Akbar. Fly internationally and save even more. Yes, fly anywhere in the world and save a lot of money on your plane tickets. We'll even save you money with cheap travel deals on hotels, rental cars, even complete travel packages. So don't book your tickets until you call us first for the absolute cheapest prices on U.S. and international airline tickets and hotels. Call right now for prices so low they can't be published. Travel experts are here 24/7 to help. 800-754-4531. 800-754-4531. 800-754-4531. That's 800-754-4531. Well, we're back right here on the Greg James Community Show. Hey, this is the last show of 2023, and I wanted to end it this week talking about something that's hot. It's being talked about in barbershops. Hey, man, I tell you, we're having small conversations. I wanted to bring it out today. And joining me on the phone line is none other than attorney Mataki Akbar, who is the president of the Tallahassee NAACP branch. Good afternoon, attorney. Hey, man, it's always good to have you. Certainly, this is the last show for 2023, and I didn't want to go into 2024 without having this conversation, getting all of our listeners involved. It's a big celebration in Tallahassee. I mean, we're happy to have FAMU Rattlers under the leadership of Coach Willie Simmons. Hey, they bringing back the championship. I mean, Florida State, an amazing season. But in the midst of all of that, there's a big celebration that's being talked about between the city and the county and the community. And they're talking about it being done on MLK Day.
Yeah, so that's the talk, you know. I don't want that to overshadow the accomplishments that both of these teams have made, because it puts on, literally it puts on for the city. So people are talking about Tallahassee that didn't even know where Tallahassee was, or talking about things that were pronounced in the same roof.
Yeah, right.
So I think that, you know, we as a community, we who love Tallahassee, love them, love Florida State, make sure that, you know, the conversation stays about the accomplishments of these teams and coaches and players to get where they are, and we can figure out the best way to congratulate them and celebrate them where it's not, you know, overshadowed with other areas as well.
Well, I mean, you know, when we talk about Martin Luther King celebration, I know you're leading the NAACP, but, you know, we've been a part of being there for the breakfast, being there for the the service over at the CK Steel Plaza, the march. I mean, but even last year seemed like we were running from place to place trying to make sure we could be present at several things that were happening at the same time, but under different umbrellas, but celebrating one holiday.
Right, and that is one of the things that the NAACP has been focused on, and I think Adam Marklin, who's chair of our NAACP, I mean of our MLK this year, has been really intentional about making sure that we have a consolidated list of events that we're all on the same schedule. So like you said, people don't have to make a choice as to which event to attend to or be confused about what's even going on. So this year, like we met with the city, kind of let them know what we plan on doing. They let us know their ideas. We pushed back our time, so I'm not sure we went through the schedule, but the CK Steel event that's been going on longer than I can remember, 20, 25 years ago. It's going to be at 9 o'clock, and we're going to march to the Capitol and try to have that event over by 12. So it can go on, however they plan on doing that, but that's the big part.
Okay, so let's make sure we get all of our listeners in tune, because I want them to mark the date. I don't want us to wait until January comes. If the Lord spare our lives and we make it over into 2024, I want the date to already be on the calendar, because as much excitement is taking place about the championships of FAMU and Florida State, and I'm happy for that. But I think we need the same kind of excitement for this year's Martin Luther King celebration, because when we look at life right now, rather than us moving forward in history, I think the dream is looking like a nightmare because we're moving backwards.
Oh, yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because it's much talk about, hey, do the celebration, but not on Martin Luther King's birthday, which is my big thing as well. I want all those people who are saying that in Tallahassee, Florida, hear my voice. If you see my post, if you like my post, show up and help us celebrate the legacy of Dr. King. By with the CK Steel March and with the March to the Capitol and the program at the Capitol. So it's on the observance of Martin Luther King's birthday, which is January 15th this year. 9 o'clock a.m. We're starting at CK Steel, which is the Star Metro bus terminal, in honor of CK Steel and the work that he did as one of the lieutenants for Dr. King right here in Tallahassee. Who had Dr. King visit on a number of occasions. CK Steel headed off a number of boycotts here in Tallahassee, including our bus boycott, and was a strong advocate for our community, for Frenchtown. So we have to honor him as our local hero on Martin Luther King's birthday. So we started at CK Steel, Star Metro, and then we march up to the Capitol. Again, we do our event there on the steps in between the old Capitol and the new Capitol there. And we will have speakers, we will have music, and we want to, really talk truth to power. I don't think we have time to water down our message. We don't have time to try to cater to other groups. We need to, focus on what Dr. King's message has always been, and it's not the watered down version that people like to try to teach in schools, but it's about advocating for poor people, advocating for marginalized people, advocating for Black people, and doing it until we see, the actual dream come true, until we see all these things that people have literally died for and fought for and lost jobs for, lost families for, and see all those things come into fruition. Because like you said, we're going backwards instead of forward. We need to make sure that we keep pushing forward.
And I think so I think it's important for those of you who are listening to the broadcast. I am talking to Attorney Mataki Akbar, the president of the NAACP, and we're talking about the Martin Luther King Day celebration, which has an overtone to it, whether or not FAMU, Florida State, will celebrate their success in the football arena as champions here in the city as a part of MLK Day. And we're saying that this day should be isolated. It should be celebrated. And the same enthusiasm that we're hearing about the champions on the field at FAMU and the champions on the field at Florida State, we should be celebrating a champion that was on the field for justice for all of us. And if never before, we should be bringing our voices together. We should be unifying in 2024 so that as we move from the Martin Luther King celebration, we can move to the voting box. We can move door to door, registering people to vote. We can move to speaking to issues in our county, our city, and our school board. We should be uniting in 2024. And Martin Luther King celebration should not have the overtone of a celebration of FAMU and a celebration of Florida State. Attorney, that's my point, because right now I feel like people really don't want truth. And Martin Luther King was an advocate for truth.
Right. No, I think we've been very good about it as far as the NAACP. We didn't make it public. We had the conversations. We were shot down in having those conversations. And we said, all right, we're going to continue doing what we're doing. We're going to have our events. We're not going to water down our message. We're not going to try to placate or cater to like a different crowd or a different message. So when people show up, they're going to hear about the disenfranchisement of Black voters. They're going to hear about taking away Black voting districts. They're going to hear about taking away education, Black history. They're going to hear about taking away DEI. They're going to hear about all the culture wars, everything that we've been dealing with, and they can stay and listen, or they can join us in our fight. But we're not going to change our message in order to celebrate football, instead of celebrate the legacy of Dr. King and the charge that he gave us, and not just he, like you said, like all the quote unquote players in the field at that time, the charge that they gave us to make sure that our children aren't further backwards than we were, and have less opportunities than we have because we fell asleep at the wheel, or we want to use football analogies because we fumbled the ball.
Absolutely. Listen, I want to share with you what one of our listeners just said. Michael Court just said Martin Luther King celebration should be an event on its own. His contributions were too monumental to be shared with a football parade. Also, January 15 is too long of a time to celebrate accomplishment that happened in early December. Certainly, I think that once we are able to continually have the conversation, attorney, and continually awaken people to the fact that we want a celebration, but it should not be a part of a legacy of a life that was designed, that died for you and I to have the right that we experience. And now, if it wasn't for Martin Luther King, I wonder would African Americans be able to attend Florida State? If it wasn't for Martin Luther King, I wonder would we have an opportunity to play in a celebration, in a bowl in Atlanta at an NFL stadium that's owned by predominantly white. So the celebration of Dr. King is the foundation on which we are able to enjoy some of the luxuries we're having.
Also, these teams deserve to be celebrated the proper way, and none of them should have to share in that celebration or in that honoring at all. So I think it's not just focusing on, hey, we don't want to diminish the legacy of Dr. King, which is clear. We also don't want to take away, what these kids accomplished.
Right.
It should be equally as clear as well.
And I think that we should be able to come to the table and be able to hear the value of everyone else's thoughts and ideas and walk out of the room saying, you know what, they deserve separate celebrations. It's not about, because I've been seeing people say, oh, It's going to create a whole lot of division. Well, we already dealing with division, but what it should create is a lot of unity when we can understand the power of each celebration.
Right. And now that we're all having the conversations on both sides of the track in different areas, I hope that people say, well, it's not going to be a joint celebration on this day, but I'm still going to see Field. I'm still going to show up to the Capitol because I do want to hear what's going on. They felt so strongly about, not wanting to diminish this day or take away from this day. Let me go hear what they talk about. Let me see how I can help. Let me see how I can get people out there to vote. Let me see how I can educate the community about these issues that are so important that we're losing on, and that we make sure that we don't, again, fumble the ball in November when this election season is coming up. And also, let's hope that these FSU, everybody who wants to have a joint celebration will also show up for FAMU when they have their own celebration. Because we don't see them in brag during the season, but hopefully they show up now to help us celebrate our national championship. Just like FAMU alumni and folks from both sides of the track are filling up Doak Campbell and have filled up Doak Campbell for years.
Well, I mean, I think what we got happening, attorney, is that we've got a chance now to really see how our community can unite. Everybody's excited about winning. Everybody's excited about the championship. I am as well. And everybody feels like celebration is in order. I feel the same way. But what I'm more excited about is celebrating us coming together, fighting the same battles so that the same equality can be seen throughout our city, throughout our county, throughout our school system. So this is a moment that it can bring us in a place of unity, but it also can divide us if we start thinking small-minded.
Right. I agree. And I think we just, I think this is a moment, like a moment of disagreement. And I've always believed in disagreeing without disagreeing.
Absolutely.
Like, oh, you see it this way, you see it that way. Okay, we disagree, but let's move. And that was pretty much with the NAACP when we went to the city, about 2 weeks ago and said, hey, we don't think you should. We're doing it. The train was left. Okay, cool. We don't agree with it, but what time are you doing your thing? This is the time that we're doing our thing. And we, again, we didn't make it, public. We didn't, put it on Facebook to turn it into something else, which I think, again, is not necessary. But hopefully, like you said, we all can walk away from now it's becoming a big, hot discussion, and people have strong opinions and passionate about it on different sides of it. Hopefully, we can all walk away and say, okay, maybe I should have listened to the NAACP 3 weeks ago. Maybe we could have figured out different ways to do it. Maybe I should listen to the people who put me in office or some of those people who are in office who didn't listen. Hopefully, everybody can walk away, from a situation learning how we can move forward as a bigger community.
And it's so important. I mean, and I'm having the discussion today because, I've heard so much conversation about it. I was in the barbershop and they were in the barbershop. And these guys that I was in the barbershop with, they don't attend the Martin Luther King celebration, but they felt like, why would they celebrate football championships on Martin Luther King Day? So the consciousness of our community is open to understanding the significance and the value of the legacy of Dr. King. And that should not be mixed in with a celebration of championships on the football. Because if thousands of people show up, thousands of people only showed up for one reason and one reason only. Because we've been year after year trying to get thousands to show up to celebrate a man who gave his life. And I feel and believe now that as we prepare for the end of the year and as we prepare to move into 2024, so much is at stake. And if ever there was a time that we should fill CK Steel Plaza, if ever there was a time we should kick the year off marching to the Capitol with a voice and a message 2024 is that time. We're continually losing our young men. We're continually finding them being put out of schools, ending up in jails, ending up in graves. We're continually seeing what's taking place in legislators. We're continually seeing policies and laws in place that are really taking us backwards.
More than ever, we have to be at the forefront fighting all of these things. And not just what, like you said, not just what's outside our community, but what's inside our community also. Like we have to, you and I, we talked about this for years and years and years. We have to become that village. And, one of the responsibilities of that village is like, government and policy and voting and making sure we have, our voice in that. And the other part, which is probably the most important part, is making sure we have our stuff together office.
Absolutely.
And we were, when we talk about our community, like, the violence, we all started speaking out against it. And I think it did make an impact. I can say I think it did make an impact. We had a good stretch of nothing happening. 2 days ago, we had 2 shootings. So we have to stand firm. We can't give up on talking about it. Once it slows down, we just can't say, okay, everything is fine. We have to stay on it. But all of those things, like you said, 2024, we have to stay on it in order to stay like it.
Absolutely. And I think, and this is the last show of the year. And certainly, man, I appreciate you, the sacrifices that you made throughout 2023 to co-host with me on various Wednesdays. And one of the things that I always say about you, and I'll say this behind your back or in your face, because I tell people I talk one way. The same I said behind the person, I said in front of them. One thing I say that once you believe in something, you believe. And once you stand for something, you stand for it. And it takes a man with 2 or 3 arms to try to twist you to say, see it this way, but you're always willing to sit down, listen, hear, think things through, and then move on. But we as a community in 2024, with what we have seen now in 2023, we must come together with one agenda, with one message, and we must sing as a choir rather than being solo acts, because that's not going to make the change that we need to make. And we can't get quiet just because we go 2 months and no one is killed or there's not a homicide. We have to continue to keep the same voice and resonate in the same communities. And we have to, this is a must in 2024. Those in leadership have to understand that people have to be heard. And we cannot, and just because you look like me and I like you and you feel like you should be in office, that does not qualify you.
Your responsibility is the people that got you in that point blank period. And I don't care who you are, like you said, who you are, what you look like, anything. And the same promises you gave when you were trying to get the vote should be the same promises you keep once you get that seat.
Yeah, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful that we are having this conversation the last Wednesday of 2023, so that hopefully there can be, as we move into 2024, some discussions. And at the same time, even though you all in a closed meeting and no one said, and then we always have to remember that conversations are going to happen, news is going to get out, and Greg James Community Show 2024 is going to be the show that challenges people. We got the conscious chick, but we're going to have another show starting. It's going to be called Politics, People, and Purpose. And we're going to give grades. We're going to analyze different politicians that's been in office. We're going to talk about what have they been doing, what has she been doing. We're going to take a look at it, a real in-depth look. And I'm certain that one of the things that you and I see, I was at the courthouse on yesterday, and the number of our kids that I saw in the courtroom, in courtroom number 2 and courtroom floor number 2, floor number 3, it just was absolutely ridiculous, man.
And I tell you all the time, it's something I can never get used to seeing, for 20 years. And
And I'm going to say this, and I know you got to run, but until we are able to take the pillars in our community that are strong voices, that are established, until we can wrap our arms around them, unite with them. There's some great leaders in our community that we just got to unite with, and we got to make our voices their voice, and we got to carry the same message. And once we do that, we're going to get the attention of those who feel like they can meet without us. They can meet with us, say what they want to say, and then act as though we're not even in the room.
Right. No, I mean, I think when the village gets together and the village gets to work, the village can't be ignored. So, people can work in silos. I think what they're doing is like on an individual basis. But when the village gets together, then there's nothing they can do about that.
Wow. Hey, man, listen, thank you so much, man. And really appreciate all that you do. Looking forward to 2024. Looking forward to the Wednesdays that you're going to be joining us. And certainly it's going to be an eye-opening year for so much in our city, our county, our state, and even in our nation. Here it is, one man, got indictments everywhere, but raising money and the voice of the people saying this is who we want. So our times are changing, and people who have been overlooked are being heard. We as a people from the African-American community, from our community, it's time for us to let our voices be heard. There's no better way than joining us on Martin Luther King Day celebration. People from all around, you need to make plans to be there. Your children need to be there on this holiday so that we can start a real movement right here in our city. Attorney Mutake Agbo, thank you, man, and have an amazing day.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. Happy holidays, happy New Year, and I look forward to that fight going in 2024.
Yes, sir. Hey, keep it locked right here. Don't go nowhere. Hey, I got one more guest coming up. We're going to, hey, man, this has been amazing. I tell you, this has truly been amazing. Don't you go nowhere. Keep it locked right here. I got one more guest coming up. We're talking about, we're talking about Martin Luther King Day celebration. We need everybody who's tuned in. Mark that date. It's a holiday. CK Steel Plaza. Listen, we want to fill the streets. I think that our schools should be present. Our churches should be packed. I think 100 pastors ought to bring 10 of their members on January 15th for Martin Luther King Day celebration. That's right. I just said 100 pastors. You ought to show up with 10 of your members so that we can begin to move forward in 2024. Not being ignored, but being heard. Keep it locked right here, 95.3 FM. I'll be right back. Michael Cork, what's up, buddy? Yeah, this is the last Wednesday for me, Mike. Pamela, how are you? That's right, we're back. Hey, just finished talking with the president of the NAACP, Attorney Mataki Akbar, just having a little informative discussion about the Martin Luther King Day celebration, the FAMU Florida State. We celebrate them. And as we all say, they need to be celebrated individually. And certainly we want to keep Martin Luther King Day a day that we come out and we celebrate it. And we celebrate the work and we celebrate the life that he has lived to make things so much better for us, make so much things better for America. So certainly we want you to mark your date, mark it. We want everybody to be out. Hey, this is the last Wednesday for the Greg James Community Show. I want to wish all of you a happy holidays. And I just want to end the broadcast on a very special note. Joining me on the phone lines is the CEO, the chair of the Figures Foundation, Mr. Freddie Figures. How are you, sir? Man, I am absolutely amazing. How's your day been? Well, listen, I wanted to end the show today, man. Certainly want to thank God for all that you're doing. And certainly it's the holiday seasons. And you have made, with all of us, we send, prayers, and we're keeping you in prayer in the loss of your mom. So, and after the loss of your mom, I did the funeral. You made this year special because you wanted to do so much to honor seniors and those who were dealing with disabilities. Tell us a little bit about the foundation, what the foundation is doing. I've ran across so many people who saw the story on the ABC News the other night. Tell us a little bit about the foundation.
Absolutely, sir. So the Figures Foundation, we're a global humanitarian, non-profit, non-government organization. Currently, we support over 1,400 students. We have 4 schools in Africa. We are doing programs in the Caribbean. We have done gap funding scholarships for thousands of students, healthcare research, including for breast cancer and dementia, Alzheimer's. But right now during the holiday season, what we're doing is something a little bit unique this year. We decided as a board to go in and help senior citizens. So, and when I say helping senior citizens, you think about majority of the senior citizens that are in nursing homes, skilled nursing facilities, they're forgotten about this time of year. So we wanted to do something very unique. We personalized gifts for each and every one of them, and going to go around and make their holiday season very joyous. We've also supported, and with the partnership with Mr. Richard Lockwood Construction, we were able to build a few ramps for senior citizens, in particular one senior citizen in Quincy that had challenges of getting in and out of her home. Every month she would have to call and get assistance from either law enforcement or fire just to get out of her home. So we rebuilt her ramp, and we're going to do some additional financial assistance for her. And one of the most touching stories was, with Miss April.
Before we get to that, and I definitely want to get to that, but I want to talk a little bit more about the fact that, it's holiday season. It's about giving. A lot of people go out of their way to give people gifts that they really can't afford to give. They give people gifts that really don't like them. They do so much, but this is a time that I think about every year you do something really, really special throughout this holiday season. And this year, you just said it, you're going to be personalizing gifts for right over 200 residents in 3 different facilities right here in our local area. Over 3 different facilities, over 200 and some residents. You're personalizing gifts, and you're going to be, along with the staff, delivering those gifts with them. Tell me this: what is it that has given you such a heart to be such a giver like this?
I'll go back to my parents. I mean, I witnessed my mother and father. I mean, we didn't have much growing up. My father was a maintenance worker, and my mother lived off Social Security. And I always could remember that, I used man profit if he gains the whole world but lose his soul?
Mm.
And I don't look at it as giving back. I look at it as paying it forward. Because one of these children that we're impacting, or somebody, you just never know what people are going through, and that impact of supporting them can change the entire trajectory of their life right here.
Wow, wow. And I was privileged to be in a meeting with you where you're working with the state attorney in Orlando. You're working with the state attorney in Fort Lauderdale, dealing with these at-risk kids who are almost about to make their way into a prison facility. And you're working to teach them and to give them insight and other opportunities. How has that been going?
Oh, that's been beautiful. I mean, some of these children that have made some honest mistakes, their entire lives have changed. I mean, I would never forget the young man. I was in Atlanta at a restaurant, and I was with an elected official, and this young man was getting ready to rob this restaurant waiter because he needs to put food on the table. So I ended up interceding with the young man, met his siblings, 14-year-old kid. Father, doesn't know his father. Mother is kind of in and out. And he's got six siblings, and he's the oldest. And he just wanted to put some food on the table. So we ended up supporting him, making sure that he had a food card. Turned around, gave him a scholarship. Long story short, right now he's at Penn State on a full ride scholarship from the foundation.
Wow, wow.
And his life could have changed literally in 20 seconds if he would have pulled that gun out and tried to rob that waiter.
Wow. I mean, and those are the kind of stories that you have been creating through the foundation. Those are the kind of stories that God has given you an opportunity to help rewrite the life of those you encounter. Well, one of the main stories that I want to talk about is one that happened on April the 12th, right there at Life Church International. There was a major accident that took place while church was going on, and two individuals, male, female, white, ended up in that accident, ended up becoming the young lady. She's now paraplegic, and we have been in contact with them from that time on. And one of the questions that I felt like God was asking me was, this has happened right at your door. Now, what are you going to do? Are you going to be like the priest and the Levite who recognized that someone was beaten and robbed and left and they passed by on the other side? Are you going to take on the mantle of the Good Samaritan and take this situation and do all you can to be a good steward and a good servant? And from August up until this day, we have been in touch with that family. And I shared with you that situation. And when I shared that situation with you, how did that make you feel?
It made me feel that we got to jump in action. We got to do something, and we got to be proactive with it. We just can't sit back and just, our thoughts and prayers always work, but we really wanted to jump in and make a difference right then and there for her.
Absolutely. And this young lady is April Stevens. April Stevens is a young lady now who had her own business, and she is now she's paraplegic. And one of the things she asked for when our outreach coordinator, who had been working with her throughout the time, we asked what could we do for her, and the only thing she said she wanted was a ramp. And immediately the partnership that we formed with Mr. Lockwood of Lockwood Construction, immediately once you heard that, he heard it, they heard the story, he put some things on hold to ensure that the ramps, not only did we do that ramp, but we did others, but that ramp was done. And that was just one thing that she asked for. She didn't ask for nothing else. But you and Mr. Lockwood, our church, we decided that we was going to do more. Tell us a little bit about what made you want to do more.
What made me want to do more is really, analyzing the situation. Her entire life changed within 5 minutes. I mean, she is now a paraplegic, and we just had to do more. I mean, we had to just go a step beyond and create something that is long lasting for her.
Wow. And today we were there. Mr. Lockwood was there. Some of our team was there. And we presented her with a gift. We presented her with her children's wish list. And you have now set up something that is going to be a blessing to her for the remaining of 2024. Tell us a little bit about that, and maybe some of our listeners are going to be able to say, how can I help?
Absolutely. So in the Figures Foundation, we set up an endowment trust of $25,000, and we're going to pay her over the course of 2024. So we have a webpage. If anyone wants to support, please support. It is FiguresFoundation.org/helping April.
Wow. Wow. So that's set up. And once a month, you're going to ensure that there is a gift to her and her family.
Yes, sir. And 100%, if anyone contributes or donates, 100% of their contribution goes directly to April.
Wow. Wow. Well, listen, man, this is the highlight of 2023. It's right before Christmas. Big shots out to Figures Foundation. Big shots out to Richard Lockwood and Lockwood Construction. I mean, and to all of, go ahead. What you was about to say?
No, I was going to say, yeah, couldn't have been without Mr. Richard Lockwood, Lockwood Construction.
Yeah, just an amazing young man who's a giver as well. And certainly want to say big shots out to Commissioner Eric Henson. He just tuned in on. God bless you, Commissioner. But certainly that's what it's all about. And I wanted to highlight that story because it meant a lot to me. All of the stories that we're doing mean so much. But we just finished visiting her, and I promise you, tears in her eyes. And one of the things that I took away is that no matter what her situation looks like, she's positive. She's not complaining. She's not negative. She's positive. And certainly the joy of giving is what it's all about. And I enjoy, believe it or not, Mr. Figures, I was just telling Mr. Lockwood today, man, that I enjoyed doing what we were doing. It gave me so much joy. And certainly want to thank you for all that you're doing and all that you will continue to do. Go ahead. And we're going to continue to do. That's what it's all about. Freddie Figures Foundation. And I tell you what, you may have Verizon, you may have AT&T, you may have what are some of the, whatever they are. But the question that I want to ask, and we got to start doing this even the more, we got to start supporting those who support us. I mean, I'm sure you're called upon so many times. You're called upon for donations. You're called upon to support this, to support that. But we're going to do an inventory of how many people are on the service. I mean, because I'm sure Verizon not giving you no $500 donation or no $2,000 sponsorship. You probably won't even be able to get in touch with who's at the corporate office. But we have to start supporting those who are supporting us. I mean, so 2024 Greg James Community Show probably going to make some of you all kind of hot. And I pray that Doc D and Reverend Holmes don't take me off the station. But I'm going to be on fire because I'm sick and tired of seeing us destroy us. And yet and still, we feel and believe that we cannot unite and have the kind of voice that we need to have to make a difference in our communities and make a difference in our city government, our state government, and even in our communities. It's time for us to make a difference. Oh, God, I've been on my soapbox all day today, but guess what? It's the holidays. I want you to be joyful. I want you to enjoy. But if the Lord allows us to move into 2024, I want us to move with a different mandate, a different message, and a different mannerism, because we've got to see things change in every area. We got to see the change that we want. If you want to see change, then be the change. Mr. Freddie Figures, thank you so much for joining us, man. And is there anything else you want to say to the 15,000 listeners that are tuned in?
No, thank you, Pastor, for everything that you're doing in the community. You know, you're an inspiration to me, and I can't do it without you. So thank you.
God bless you. Hey, that's Freddie Figures from the Figures Foundation. And certainly, once again, thank all of you for 2023. This is the last Greg James Community Show until we meet in 2024. I want you to have a wonderful holidays, enjoy family. But then I want you to realize, too, that there's much work to be done, and we cannot stop until we complete the wall. We got to be like Nehemiah. We're doing a great work. We can't come down. So I want to encourage all of you as we go into this season. I want you to give with love, and then I want you to love giving. And I want you to remember that what God has brought you through, it's only because he wants to get the glory out of it. And everything works for good. Don't you let no one and nobody stop you from knowing that God is still in control. This is a season where God is going to say to you, you got to walk in confidence. You got to have the courage to know that I am who I am. I love you all. Thank you for all the support that you provided in 2023. And I'm excited about the prophetic window that is opening for 2024. Change will happen if we start working together. Change will happen if we just reach out and touch somebody's hand. God bless you. Merry Christmas to y'all and Happy New Year. I'm Greg James saying goodbye 2023, and we're walking into 2024. God bless your family. Thank you all so much for tuning in Wednesday after Wednesday. And I'm excited about what we're going to be doing in 2024. I want you to have an amazing holiday. I want you to be safe, enjoy. But remember now, there's a lot of work that we got to do. All right. Love you. Be blessed.